Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Eileen Delrossi, my co-host, is on the phone. She's picking up parent duties today.
Good morning, everybody.
The regular driver didn't show, but frankly, it's just been one of those days.
Yes. Already.
It's cold out there. Last night was 22. Friday's going to be Sunday with a high of 38. Precip 2% chance, sunrise at 7:14 and sunset at 4:32. That doesn't seem to be moving very fast. Friday night, looking for 23, 22% chance of precipitation, winds about 5. Saturday, 32, snow showers, 62%. And Sunday, sunny, with a high of 38 and a low of 19. So there you are. So today in history, back in 49 BC, is where we got the expression crossing the Rubicon. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, signaling the start of civil war. The Roman rule was the army was not allowed to go south of the Rubicon, and he took it south. In 1776, during the American Revolution, Thomas Paine published his pamphlet, Common Sense. 1901, the first great Texas oil gusher is discovered at Spindletop in Beaumont, Texas. 1920, the Treaty of Versailles takes effect, officially ending World War I for all combatant nations except the United States. We had a little senatorial problem there approving these things. Also in 1920, the League of Nations automatically entered into force. In 1843, Frank James was born. You know who Frank James is, Eileen?
No.
Is
he part of the Rat Pack?
The older brother of Jesse James. No, this was a little before the Rat Pack. Rat Pack's Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, that crowd.
There was a Frank in there, though.
Yeah. 1949, well, that was a long time ago. Linda Lovelace was born. She passed away in...
Was that really her name?
I don't know. I assume so. She eventually converted. And in 1917, Buffalo Bill passed away. American soldier, buffalo hunter. So, the fires in L.A.
Oh, bad.
Yeah. We are talking, 10 people dead now?
And Trump is very mad at Gavin Newsom.
Well, is he mad at him, or is he just pointing out that he'd explained it all to Gavin and he wasn't listening?
Oh, maybe. Yes, good point.
I doubt that it'll happen, but I wonder to what extent some responsibility falls on the environmentalists. I was listening.
Say that again?
What? The environmentalists. Don't they contribute to these things? Somebody called into the Grace Curley show yesterday and said he'd lived out in Washington State, and there was national forests which had fires, and then there was Weyerhaeuser, which didn't have fires on their area where they were growing pine trees. And the difference was that Weyerhaeuser cleared out the underbrush, and every time the Forest Service tried to clear out the underbrush, they got taken to court by the environmentalists. And we're just acting in counterproductive ways. I do kind of wonder, what, a couple thousand houses have burned out there? I wonder if this is going to have an impact on housing around the country, because I think a lot of those people will have money to pay out to have their houses rebuilt.
Yeah.
What do you think?
A lot of rich, famous people lost their house.
Yeah, we're talking $10 million houses. Yeah, Pacific Palisades is not a place for poor people.
No.
So, John, do you have any thoughts on the Great Fire of LA County?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't have time to share them right now. Once I get Facebook up, I'll be back to you.
Well, by then we'll have moved on. Yeah. No, nobody goes backwards.
See, the issue here is I can't start Facebook until the show starts.
Ah. And we
So-
started late. So,
It's okay. We're all right.
I saw a thing, Eileen, that there's a new study out looking at weather, and there's been a 30-year global drop in hurricane frequency and power. This was a group of Chinese meteorologists. They were applying some sort of power dissipation index, and they were looking all over the world. The only place things seem to be sort of steady over the last 30 years is the North Atlantic, but everywhere else, the impact of tropical storms was down. Do you ever hear anything like that in the news?
No. I do know, like, overall, like, our weather system is messed up. It's not as cold, it doesn't snow when it's supposed to. So I would imagine that it's, I mean, it doesn't snow. You're not getting, like, such seasonal weather as I remember, you know what I mean? So I would think that tropical storms and hurricanes are impacted also.
Well, the rest of the country's getting a lot of snow.
The what?
The rest of the country seems to be getting a lot of snow.
Right, which isn't usually normal.
Yeah. So the 6th January certification of President Trump's election went well. The first time in 52 years that no Democrats challenged the certification of a GOP victory in a presidential election. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it turned out none of those Democrats were accused of treason or undermining democracy. So, prominent Democrats, including some who served in the Biden administration, maintained the 2000 and the 2016 elections were stolen. So, I guess it's different rules for different parties. But, well, over in England, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is accused of cowardice as Labour votes to block national grooming inquiry. Labour being Starmer's party, the Labour, the Conservatives, a couple of other parties. And this is about the sexual abuse of young girls in immigrant grooming groups such as at Rotherham. Have you seen much about that in the news?
What was it?
The grooming gangs over in England abusing underage girls?
Oh. No, I think the same thing happens over here in America. It's just called child trafficking.
Yeah.
And, like, the police do that. That should be considered a gang.
Yeah. So, anyway, the Labour MPs for the left-wing party have blocked an attempt to initiate a national inquiry into grooming gangs. I don't think that's good. The amendment put forward by the Conservative MPs that would have put pressure on the government to hold a statutory inquiry into historic child sexual exploitation went down 364 to 111. I'm going to use an expression here that we don't have in the United States. They're talking about Chris Philps, the shadow home secretary. That means he's the opposition party person who has a responsibility for opposing the cabinet officer on the government. So he's the shadow home secretary. Said it was disgusting what happened. So that it turns out Elon Musk weighed in on this, upsetting all sorts of hoity-toity people in England. He came out on action, condemned what's going on. I don't know, the victims who spoke said they'd been horribly abused, and then when they spoke to authorities, the authorities turned a blind eye because they didn't want to be accused of racism. Nigel Farage, whose name will come up again in a couple of minutes, who leads the Reform UK party, says he'll launch a national inquiry into this. I mean, it's been tried before when Sue Ellen Braverman was the real Home Secretary. She announced a task force to tackle this, but it got squashed. I mean, this is so bad that parents who went and complained got arrested. That's not a good thing. I don't think Keir Starmer is going to last a year as Prime Minister of England. So you think we have our own child grooming problems going on here in the States? Eileen?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, especially in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Do you think we're getting to the bottom of it?
No, I just think that attention's being brought to it, and it's getting more and more that officials definitely have to do something about it.
Is this, is it related to the schools? You mentioned the police. We had the woman who was killed by, has been accused of being killed by a policeman who got her pregnant, but that she had been groomed by 3 policemen. Where was that? Was that Norfolk?
She was from Stoughton,
Stoughton.
but the murder happened in her apartment in Canton.
Ah. Canton.
Norfolk County, more specifically.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot's going on. But I feel like, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Like teachers, like I've heard of teachers ending up with their students. Anytime somebody who's significantly older than another person and is a power position, that's grooming somebody to do what they want. And it happens majorly. And it's not often, it's sporadic, but it's sporadic enough.
Yeah. I think you and I have a slight difference of opinion, but we're both agreed that humans, on average, don't reach full adulthood, full mental responsibility. I say 23, 24, you say 25, but it's past the age of 21.
I say 25.
Yeah.
And I'd venture to say maybe even 45. I'm still working at it.
Yeah. Well, you're a special case, Eileen.
Thanks.
So, but going back to the Brits, somebody did a poll of 1,207, and the most popular person in Britain is King Charles at 49% popularity, followed by Jeremy Clarkson at 43%. John, you know who Jeremy Clarkson is?
Wasn't he Adolf Hitler's brother?
No.
No? He's the son of Sam.
No, he's the guy that does those Brit shows on automobiles.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad you watched. You enjoyed those shows, Cliff.
I did.
Good. Are they still on?
I haven't checked recently.
Okay.
Nigel Farage is third at 33%. He's the leader of the Reform Party.
I like Nigel Farage.
Yes.
He used to be on a radio show in London every day. I used to enjoy listening to him. Gave me a lot of wisdom about merry old England.
Elon Musk is fourth at 25. Donald Trump is next at 24. The Prime Minister, Labour Party, Keir Starmer at 22. And the opposition leader, Kemi Badenoch, at 21. So Donald Trump and Prime Minister Keir Starmer were the most unpopular at 58% each. But I thought it was kind of interesting that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are more popular in Great Britain than the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition.
Well, Cliff, I know you don't, being a busy guy, you don't watch a lot of YouTube, but all the European news is led with what's going on in America. They got no news over there. They're talking about Trump, they're talking about the fire out in California. Amazing to see that they just watch American stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's France, Germany, England, those are the three that I watch that actually make a TV show in English. So we got some text I'm going to read off to you. The people
Okay.
of Norfolk County got what they voted for, a political hack for district attorney. Thank you. Good angle. Good morning. The people of California have no one to blame but themselves. They keep voting in the same inept, unqualified people to run their crappy state, as do we in lovely Lowell and delightful Dracut and terrific Tewksbury. Moving right along, did everyone see Did everyone see President Obama talking and laughing with President-elect Trump after he called him Hitler Why isn't the news media asking President Obama why he's doing that? Horrible people. Did you watch the funeral yesterday at all, Cliff?
I watched part of it, then I had to head out.
I was stuck in the car, and I had to give a tip of the cap to my friend Gary Frascarelli. He's the news guy at WCAP. They broadcast the whole funeral on the radio. So I was able to enjoy a lot of what was said, and beautiful eulogies. And I was the time they were supposed to be leaving church at 11:45, and my guess was that ain't going to be happening. So when I got to Boston, I lost my reception on WCAP when I went in the tunnel. Couldn't hear them no more. So I wondered if they left on time. But this morning's Facebook has President Bush snubbing President-elect Trump when he came in. That's what it looks like. And that's what's going on this morning. Got some frightening stuff. You were talking about the fire earlier today, and what's not getting in the news is if you got little kids, you might want to change the channel. This is going to gross some people out. So if you have a timid stomach, change the channel. And this will be up for about 30 seconds. And so I'm going to show you this picture, and it's quite graphic, and it might turn your stomach, so be careful. This is not making the news at all. The amount of animals that got killed in this fire. It's amazing. The firefighters in the lower right-hand corner still working they're working as hard as they can work. There's amazing strength the California firefighters have. Cal Fire. I always thought Cal Fire was fake because they have a TV show, but they're talking about them on. I listened to California radio in the car yesterday, and just amazing the strength that the people have out in California. So terrible what's happening to the animals. And you say 10 people are dead. There are over 6,000 destroyed properties, destroyed homes and businesses, gone forever. Back to you, Cliff.
Yeah, one of the things that came out was that on the fire trucks they carry duffel bags, and it's sometimes easier just to fill the duffel bag with water and throw it on a small fire, easier and quicker than it is to hook up a hose and douse it with water from the fire hydrant. So there apparently have been some cynicism about that, but that's part of their TTP.
We've all enjoyed going outside on a very windy day. And you learn as a child, you don't go out on a windy day without having a lid on your drink. And if you can imagine how windy, it's 60-mile-an-hour winds there, 100-mile-an-hour winds. And maybe that's an exaggeration, but I'm just going by the reports I have heard. And the planes that were dropping water, when they released the water, and the water would just blow away. It wouldn't even land on the fire they were aiming at. And it was, that was a reaction that I had heard from several firefighters that got interviewed. That he had this gigantic plane coming, they're going to drop the water, and it'll take care of the whole street. He hits the button, drops the water, and it lands a quarter of a mile away. That's how fast the wind was blowing. So I can imagine if you got a hose and the wind's blowing the water to the point where it's fractionizing the actual stream, it might be better to have a wheelbarrow full of water and just dumping it on the fire. I can see why, because of the wind conditions, they may have been practicing what you talked about.
No.
Maybe that's a long-winded answer, but what the heck.
Yeah. The Santa Ana winds are a real thing out there. And that's what they're dealing with. This is the time of year.
Yep. And there's no going back, and President-elect Trump can dump on the governor of California all he wants. there's no going backwards. This is a terrible, terrible thing that happened, and California will get it right this time. It'll never happen again. Like Hawaii, when half of Hawaii burnt out, oh, half of Hawaii didn't burn out. Okay, it's television. We exaggerate, like the weather. We make it bigger than. But when Hawaii had that fire in Maui, oh my God. Everybody blames the government because the government's in charge. If you keep taking your leaves from your yard and you just put them in the back, and you have 50 years of leaves back there, and somebody throws a cigarette butt in it on a Saturday night and it's windy, it's not going to be good for your neighborhood. And everybody had 50 years of leaves in their backyard because environmentally that's the way the California people thought was the best thing to do, was just let it sit there. That fueled all these. If you have, I have 50 years of leaves, you have 50 years of leaves, everybody has 50 years of leaves in their backyard, and it's windy, that's what grew this thing. My take.
Yeah, and they're just coming out of the dry season. But, Eileen, what's your opinion? Is this going to hurt Gavin Newsom politically?
Yes. I mean, yeah, I believe so, because he gave all the water away.
Well, that's true.
Who did he give all the water to?
The ocean.
The ocean. Which would have been, like, I heard Trump saying, like what only a drop in the ocean would have put out all of those fires in California.
Yeah, a bit of an exaggeration, but yes, basically true. Water's at a premium in Southern California. But they've not been storing it up like they should have. You got any thoughts on this, John? Is Gavin Newsom done?
California Democrats are rock solid behind this guy. He's got no worries.
But what about on the national stage? Is he a contender in 28?
The Democrats have a fantastic electoral machine that the Republicans are too cheap to build. So yes, he's still going to be pretty powerful. What did, like, in the news today, our incoming fearless leader, Donald Trump, will be sentenced today. It's not in the news. How come? Why?
I'm sorry. Why do you say it's not in the news?
It's not.
It's in the notes for today.
It's not in the news.
Yeah.
Did you see it on TV news?
I listened to a discussion of it on the radio coming over because
the
the
radio,
Supreme
okay.
Court,
Yep.
the Supreme Court
Channel
said...
5's not talking about it.
What?
Channel 5 completely dismissed it. Wasn't in the news today.
Well, I have no responsibility for Channel 5.
Well, I'm just telling you that some news media outlets have decided that, you know what? This is this is just a political game. Well, there are a lot of my Democratic friends that get ticked off as I pick on them. But this is a political game. And I think everybody knows it. Back to you, Cliff.
Well, but they have been denying, the Democrats have been denying for several years that this is just a political game.
Look, we have a state house that has paid off sexual allegations, paid off people that Stormy Daniels situations with some of our our elected representatives down in Boston. And that's what DeZoglio will be discovering if she ever gets to audit this state house. And Democrats, when they sin, it's a different angle when they sin. I got a couple of texts here I'm going to read to you.
You're going to have a busy weekend
Why?
because you're going to be the one doing the notes.
Okay. There are reports that a guy with a blowtorch started one of the wildfires. Doesn't surprise me. There are a lot of crazy people in California as the nation continues to ignore mental illness. Last text I got right now is swing and a miss, Miss McDonough. It'll happen again. This came in when I said California will learn from this, and they'll get it right this time. Interesting angle. Thank you. Back to you, Cliff.
Yeah. The Supreme Court did not step in to prevent the sentencing today from Judge Juan Merchan. Unless he does something really strange like dismissing the whole thing, as of today, Donald Trump will be a convicted felon. All the people who have been calling him a convicted felon up until this point have been technically wrong. You've got to be sentenced to become the convicted felon. But
What's going to? Okay, so as we play this game today, he's convicted as a felon. Cuff him. Cuff him for sentencing.
why? We don't cuff most people for sentencing.
Well, it's a game. Don't you want to play the game, Cliff? It's a game. Cuff him for sentence. Guilty. Cuff him for sentencing.
Don't you think that,
You think that's going to happen?
no. Don't you think that the New York local and state government are very concerned about the possibility that Juan Merchan could sentence Donald Trump to jail?
This Ronald McDonald you're talking about, he's the judge?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I had to guess at that, because I didn't know who
You
Ronald
did
McDonald was.
have to guess
Didn't know-
at that?
I don't know who Ronald McDonald is, but that's okay. The judge, listening to you.
Ronald McDonald is not the judge,
Please proceed.
nor is Wendy.
Well, which do you prefer? Do you prefer McDonald's or Wendy's?
Burger King.
What do you get at Burger King?
I get a Whopper with cheese, small fries, and a chocolate milkshake
You get the Whopper
without
Jr.?
whipped cream.
The Whopper Jr.? Or the real Whopper?
So, since I'm not really sure what the menu is, I get the Whopper.
Okay. It's not the Whopper it once was.
I don't eat the whole thing, but I enjoy what I eat.
Wendy's is superior. I love it when we visit Wendy's. And McDonald's, I always enjoy my trips over there. I love Burger King too. Burger King has those little wraps. Oh, those are delicious. I'll stop talking. I got to get these texts.
John,
Listening to you, Cliff.
you're confused.
I understand. That's
Okay, but I'm here to help you out.
You're the best.
Elections upcoming this year. Ecuadorian general election on the 9th of February, not that far away. Greenland will have a general election on 6 April, all 56,000 citizens there. In India, there'll be local elections in the Delhi area in February. Iranian local elections on 20 June. I think that could be pretty interesting because I think that the mullahs are in trouble and it could show up in the local elections.
The who's in trouble?
The mullahs in Iran, the Ayatollah.
I thought you were talking about Demoulas. Something. What's the matter with Demoulas? Okay. I got
Hearing aids? Can I recommend an audiologist to you?
No, I thought you said Demoulas. I think a lot of the.
No, I said mullahs in Iran.
Thank you. I thought you said Demoulas.
Oh,
Please
okay.
proceed.
Philippines has a midterm election in May. There's a German federal election on the 23rd of February. That could be interesting. And of course,
What country are you talking about now?
Germany.
Okay.
Greek presidential election this month. And of course, Liechtenstein has a general election on 9 February.
Did you say earlier it was
Did I say what?
Linda Lovelace's birthday?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know Linda Lovelace?
Because I heard the story of her conversion to Christianity, accepting Jesus Christ as her Lord and
She's in
Savior.
the same union as Stormy Daniels.
No longer.
Oh, she quit?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe when
That's why I was talking to you about her conversion.
Oh, okay. So she's a Christian now?
Well, actually, she's in heaven now, but yes.
Okay. Got some texts here for you. I think one is from yesterday, but that's okay. I can't, that's me. If the media was so liberal, wouldn't Trump's sentencing be all over the news? You'd think Trump toadies would be happy it's not being mentioned. Well, on that note, I think that the media outlets are realizing that half the public likes the guy, the other half doesn't. And there is a negative gain to picking on him. That's my take on the media. The media just reports what they think you want to hear. The wildfires have now put a terrorist attacks on the back page of the news. Very good point. Yes, they have. I think this might be from yesterday. We had Vivian Merrill here yesterday, and she's an insurance person and has an office in downtown Lowell. And we were talking about this. Did a lot of insurance companies leave this state of California because of too many fires? That's left over from yesterday.
The answer to that was yes.
And do you remember the Wendy buffet? I don't remember a Wendy's buffet.
No?
Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention. I don't remember a Wendy buffet. Back to you, Cliff. Thanks.
Okay. So, item number 6, Trump to appear for sentencing in New York. And you didn't see that in the news.
I didn't have a chance to look at any newspapers yesterday. I listened to radio news all day, watched some TV news last night, and I heard it on CBS at around 4:30 this morning. But then when I changed to Channel 5, I listened to the whole newscast of Channel 5, and they never brought it up.
Well, we'll ask Melanie when she gets here. See what she thinks.
Okay. What's Eileen think? Did she hear it?
Eileen, that yes was yes, hello, or yes, you had heard about
Just ask her the question.
Trump being sentenced.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I didn't know Melanie was coming, so that's always exciting when Melanie comes on. And I did not know about Trump being sentenced. So as of today, he'll be a convicted felon.
Yes.
All right. I mean, I'm always up for trying something new. I've never had a president that was a convicted felon.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, like, George Washington be a convicted felon also for owning slaves, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's in a way a sense of trafficking. But hey, I mean, we can only go up from where we are now. So I'm gonna roll with it and see how it goes.
Yeah. So Donald Trump has been stirring things up, calling Canada the 51st state and wanting to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. It turns out he said he'd like to take Greenland. The people of Greenland are saying they want to be independent from Denmark, totally independent. And the Greenland Prime Minister, Mute Egede, emphasized his desire to pursue independence from Denmark, its former colonial ruler, during his New Year's speech, making a significant change in the rhetoric surrounding the Arctic island's future. Do we really want Greenland to become part of the United States?
Cliff, on Canada, I know I'm a little behind you, but This is Trudeau on an iceberg.
Flow.
Thank you, whatever you want to call it. Safe travels. I got that on Facebook yesterday. I think I sent it to you. Pretty good.
Ah.
Greenland. Greenland is a wicked cold place. It's there for the taking if we want it, and I couldn't care less. But taking Canada, that'd be cool. What do you think would have? How many states do you think would add? 3, 4 states if we take Canada?
Probably about 11.
That'd be pretty cool.
You know why it's called Greenland, don't you?
Yes, that was to fool somebody.
Yeah. Eric the Red was trying to get people to go there, so he called it Greenland, and he called the little island Iceland, which is actually much nicer climate than Greenland. He called it Iceland.
Have you been to Greenland?
No, my wife's been to Greenland. I've not been to Greenland.
Greenland's a beautiful place where it's so windy there. The houses have dirt on the roof to hold the roof down. That's how windy it gets there. And fascinating place, wicked cold there. I got another text here, and it says, salads, the Wendy's Buffet. Glad to get some highlights on this. This guy's jumping into the Wayback Machine. Salad station, pasta station, taco station, the soup station, from 88 to 98 for 10 years. That's in the last century.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for the update.
So,
I don't really have problems.
what'd you say, Eileen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was off mute. I was talking to Anthony.
Oh, okay. So, the late President Jimmy Carter is en route to Plains, Georgia for an invitation-only funeral at Maranatha Baptist Church.
He's in Plains, Georgia now.
Oh, he's arrived already.
He left last night.
Oh.
Left yesterday.
Did he fly or did he go by hearse?
They flew him back on Air Force One. Special mission number 39, I think they call it. And as a undertaker, I love watching funerals. And they did a really nice job when they load. I'll find the video of how smart these guys are, and I'll put it out there. So let me look for this video.
Okay, so yesterday was a state funeral at 10. I got to watch about a half hour of it, including the son of President Gerald Ford reading the eulogy, excuse me, the eulogy his father had written for Jimmy Carter. But Gerald Ford predeceased him. It was very nice. Two people in conflict in 1976 developed a serious friendship. He's going to be buried in near his home next to Rosalind, his wife. And flags will stay at half-staff through the inauguration until 28 January. So Jimmy is moving on. Mostly people have been polite in their remembrances of Jimmy Carter. I think that's fair. So, you're looking for something, right, John?
I'm listening to you too. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Eileen, how many of our students are falling through the cracks who need to learn but don't have the proper support?
All of them? Most of them. The majority of them, I would say. There are a slight few that truly want to learn, but for the most part, I feel like we're just moving everybody along. We don't have the right resources, especially when it comes to our English language learners.
Yeah. How much, I think of this as cultural. How much of it do you think is cultural? Parents are not putting the right emphasis on learning. I mean, I remember in elementary school, I had classmates who just were learning all sorts of things on their own and surging ahead. Are we not encouraging that kind of thing?
Well, unless it's on YouTube or unless it's on like a preferred method of how they learn, no one's picking up books anymore. They're all picking up iPads and watching YouTube. Or Anthony said not him. He wants you guys to know, not him though.
Speaking of YouTube, this is off YouTube, and you only see this on Big Shot's funerals. Here is President Carter's hearse. There is his backup hearse. And only on gigantic, we've only done this one time, that we had two hearses. One was just a backup, and it was insisted on by the police, and it was the state police that insisted on it. And but you don't see that in the same shot. There's the real hearse, there's the backup. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
As an undertaker, we all watched for this stuff yesterday. I'm going to find the loading of the casket, though. That was fascinating.
Well,
You know what I found interesting? That it's now is a federal holiday, the day that he was waked and funeraled, and also there was no mail yesterday because of his services.
Yeah, there was no mail yesterday.
Yeah, so going forward, like next year, will it be like an official federal holiday where we don't have school or work?
Did you have? Wait a second.
Interested to find.
Did you have school yesterday?
We did, yes.
Then you'll have school
Nobody knew that he was going to pass. So, I'm wondering if, going forward, it will be a national day off.
I don't think so.
the stock market managed to close down.
Well, they close down when it snows.
Well, there is that. So, anyway, back to school. I had this is an elementary school. I had a classmate, Lloyd Davis.
Lloyd Davis.
What?
I just repeated you, Lloyd Davis.
Yes. His father was...
Okay.
Oops, here we go. We have the video.
Okay, this is down in Georgia when they were, or maybe they were leaving, leaves for D.C. Jimmy Carter's casket leaves for D.C. Now, this truck is going to lift this up to the level of the plane, but you don't see that part. The casket, they're going to push the casket in. This is genius. This is a big, gigantic black curtain. So they push the casket in and the casket disappears. Pretty cool to watch. And that was fascinating. They just push it in there and bam, it's gone. Nicely done.
Yeah.
So sorry, the video went away quick, but that was it. If you missed it, you missed it. I can't get it back. Well, maybe I can. Let's see.
But Lloyd, his father was a PhD chemist, but he had a huge chemistry set. I mean, do kids have chemistry sets these days?
No, I'm afraid what they would do with it.
Well,
No, I don't think, I don't know. I haven't seen many chemistry sets.
Well, chemistry, what do you do if the kids swallow sulfuric acid?
take them to the emergency room.
And you're going to get sued.
Sued by who?
The kids' parents. Ka-ching.
Wait a second.
School? The
We're
school?
talking, why would the kids' parents who bought and sanctioned the chemistry sets sue themselves?
Because in Lowell, you don't buy nothing. We supply everything. I'm asking.
Okay, so that's, you've made a very good point, John. 50, 60, 70 years ago, parents took responsibility for educating their children, providing these additional opportunities for children to learn. And it's not happening today. So we're having sort of a cultural failure. I think Vivek Ramaswamy talked about this, that we celebrate the prom queen, but we don't celebrate the kid that wins the science fair.
Comment from the audience, are they electric hearse or gas powered? I have not seen an electric hearse in person. Not a very popular thing, electric hearses. But I've seen a Tesla electric hearse. Probably the fastest hearse on the planet.
Yeah, my next door neighbor when I was in high school bought a hearse and took it out to the desert, got it up to 160 miles an hour.
Brings back memory of my brother Joe. My brother Joe, he would, at one time we had a Pontiac Wildcat hearse. And that was the fastest hearse I have ever been in. And we made it to Logan Airport in 17 minutes.
That's amazing.
That thing was a rocket ship. We had to get down there. They were going to close, blah, blah, blah. Joe just took the wheel and bam, we went 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour all the way down there. And we got there in time. And fastest car. And yesteryear also, I'll tell a story out of school. There's a street called Court Street in St. Patrick's Cemetery. And
Melanie Gilbert.
I got to go let her in. Melanie, I'll be right there. Thanks.
Why don't you tell the story and I'll get the door?
So make a long story short, sure, you can get the door. If you're going to get the door, good for you. So we would, back then, all the undertakers that are now as old as me, and there were probably like 25 funeral homes in Lowell at the time. On a busy Saturday, we would, the funerals are all over, but we're all still hanging at the cemetery because they just finished filling the grave. And it was not, we used to race in the cemetery. It was Court Street. It's a big, long street and starts on Spencer Street, and it terminates at the service building of at St. Patrick's Cemetery. And we'd race up there. And it was fascinating to see who would participate. And nobody could beat Wilma Wildcat. They couldn't beat the Wildcat. That car was fantastic. For a kid, that was quite the life. So I got another text rolling in here. And drag it over here. No, I don't drag it. I do a copy and paste. And you might wonder, why do I do this? Well, to prove I'm not, when I first started reading the text, people would say, he's making that up. So now I just copy and paste and put them on there. Drag it over here, put that screen up. And this says, home run, Mr. Well, blow it up so you can see it better. And it says, home run, Mr. Krieger. Good morning, Melanie.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
I am one live TV.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Home run, Mr. Krieger. Parenting nowadays is out of touch. Kids are allowed to talk back to their parents and run most households. Well, Jay, good comment. I think we got to run off to break land. We got 30 seconds. That is the way of the world. There's no such place as parenting school.
No, Eileen today.
And Lowell is working on that, so
She's
good for
having
Lowell. We're going to go to break. And
I'm here, Melanie. Hello.
see you in about 30 seconds. Thanks.
Hello, Eileen.
I have to take my.
Yeah, this is Donut Talk. This isn't City Life. This is
Donut Talk.
Donut Talk. Good morning. I'm wearing my winter sweater. I thought it might snow, but I'm not sure it's going to.
For those of you who are wondering who that is the press, Melanie Gilbert. She's here to explain why the press suppresses the news.
Not me, Cliff. Not me. You know me. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you that I took up your suggestion to read Where the Poor Live, the other side of... What?
Yes.
Very interesting. I'm only on chapter 3, but I have to say, I don't disagree with a lot of those. He makes this pitch that, and funny enough, I read, when I talked to Rodney Elliott, State
Yeah.
Rep Rodney Elliott, whose family grew up
Yeah.
in Little Canada. And of course, Charlie, what's his name? He wrote the book about Lowell, growing up in Little Canada, DeGargio, he founded Coalition for a Better Acre. But, people have very fond memories of growing up in the...
Oh, was it Dave Willett?
No, it was Charlie. Charlie, I can't remember. Somebody will call in, I'm sure. And he wrote about growing up in Little Canada. I read that book. It was really good. In fact, drove around to see all the places that
Yeah.
don't exist anymore. And he had very fond memories because even though they were like basically cold water flats and, people just stacked on top of each other, he grew up with family and felt very secure and comfortable in that environment. And he talks about that in this book, about how subsidized housing doesn't allow layered living. It's only the people, and I never thought about that. So, interestingly enough, when I was doing stories about Lowell Housing Authority with the homeless sleeping in the basement, and I was talking to many of those people, and I just asked them who they are and where they come from and how long they've been in Lowell and stuff like that. It was second and third generation people who lived in public housing. Like it was people who grew up there and whose parents grew up there and whose children are growing up there and whose now grandchildren are growing up there. And I'm glad I had that experience before I read that book, before I started reading this book, is because it sort of hones in on his central thesis, is that public housing doesn't always provide a path out of poverty.
No.
You're almost trapped in it. I mean, we have our Phil Shays, who grew up in North Village, right, North Common, and went on to a great career and a great life. And I don't know how many. I mean, I honestly don't know. It's not a hypothetical. I don't know how many other people were able to lift. Or Charlie, he grew up in tenement housing. Well, that's different. It's tenement housing versus public housing, subsidized
Yeah.
housing. But I think it bears a sort of, come to Jesus kind of evaluation. Like, what's the metrics on this? How do we take people, how do we take care of people without almost suffocating them, like almost trapping them in this cycle of poverty?
Two questions
Exactly.
come to mind.
Okay,
Where is parent school? Where'd you go to parent? You got 2 kids.
yes.
Where'd you go to parent school?
I had the school of hard knock life, man. My parents were tough. They were, I don't know how they did it, but, it was yes, sir.
And now
yes,
that it's
sir.
your turn,
Yeah. Well, I pretty
it's
much do.
different.
I always say if it was good enough for Omi and Opa, that's what we call them, then it's it's good enough for you. I don't care I don't care if we're in the 21st century. I mean, there are some things, if I said, my mom didn't allow us to say gosh or darn because she thought those were derivatives of swear words. And she felt like it was a slippery slope. And if I was ever mouthy, because she thought gosh was derivative of God and darn was derivative of damn. And she didn't want us, she said, when
Yes.
you're an adult, you can use those words, but when you're, in my house, my rules. And I remember I said something very smart mouth to her, and she washed my mouth out with soap. And that made quite an impression on me. Now, that would never fly today. And I have never done it to my children, but I think there was expectation that, there were lines you don't cross. So
Yes.
I don't know that when you don't have ownership of your behavior or ownership of your dwelling or ownership of your school or ownership of anything, that you take as much, I don't know, maybe interest or responsibility or, it's just an interesting book, and I'm glad you recommended it to me because I'm familiar with a lot of these places. Cabrini, I lived in Chicago when we moved from Detroit to Chicago. When we came back, we lived back in Detroit, and the Brewster Douglas, those were, we drive by those on the Lodge Freeway, and you held your breath because even then it was already considered, and they pretty much were brand new, but they were like, that correction facility up in, I don't know that they still use it, in Cambridge? It's at Tower. It's right by,
Yep.
yeah. I think that failed as well. High-rise jails don't work in the same way that high-rise public housing doesn't work. And why? I don't know. I mean, we'd have
They
to
only
ask
closed
them.
that because of asbestos.
Oh, is that right? Also, they had floods or something.
I'm told it was asbestos, but you never get the truth out of the government anymore.
Yeah, well, that was, I think the jail was on the top couple floors and the administrative offices were below.
Well, it seems like they had red painted on the building where the jail was.
Yes, that's right, or orange or something, right,
So we
yeah.
got a comment from the audience. We had strict parents, strict teachers, not buddies, and that's gone away.
Yeah, parent school has been the same for millennia. It's only recently that it's gone out of fashion. And, so John, a couple weeks ago, asked me to do the weather at the beginning of each session.
Who asked you to do the weather?
John.
Oh, John,
the producer.
okay, give us the weather report.
Yeah, so last night it was 22,
Yeah, that's cold.
and today it'll be sunny, high of 38, 2% chance of precipitation. Sunrise, 7:14, we can see that things are,
I had a pink
We're
sky
at
behind me as
twilight.
I came in.
yeah. And sunset will be at 4:32. Friday night, it'll go down to 23 with a 22% chance of precip. Saturday, 32 with snow showers at 62%. Sunday, sunny with a high of 38. So,
Balmy.
yeah,
Well,
Well,
Cliff,
is
how
that
was
the
your,
real
How was your
com-
drive in, Cliff, this morning? Was any ice?
no.
So no ice.
No, the roads are clear.
So Melanie, you drove up from Boston.
Yep.
How are the roads? How was the ride? How's the traffic?
I actually made excellent time because there was hardly any traffic. I was surprised. I usually run into traffic. I don't run into traffic on the Concord Turnpike. That's pretty slow. But I run into
The
it,
Concord Turnpike?
yeah, Route 2.
Okay, Route 2. Gotcha.
And then I get onto,
It's a pronunciation issue.
oh, what is it?
John has never been out of Lowell. He doesn't realize there are different pronunciations
It's
elsewhere in
Concord.
the country.
And I never heard of the Concord Expressway. What'd you call it?
Concord Turnpike.
The Concord Turnpike.
Concord.
Concord?
Yeah,
We just call it Concord.
Well, it's like Peabody. It took me a long time to get Peabody. I was always saying Peabody. I remember I went to the Peabody Museum, and I almost thought they were going to deny me admission because, I said,
How'd you do with
Peabody.
Worcester and Haverhill?
Well, that was another one. It's a learning curve. Thank God Lowell is just Lowell.
Haverhill,
Haverhill,
the main line runs right through Haverhill.
Haverhill, or Chelmsford.
You know what the main line is, right? Never mind, we're moving on.
Chelmsford.
But I would concur, like, there's no traffic at all. We're almost to Newton.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice, right? I don't have to play like
Yeah.
a card jockey and maneuver over to, what is it, Route 3?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Route 3 is my sticky wicket. That's where the most traffic is, because I think that's the most interchanges along my route. So, but it was very nice. It was, but my sister in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, got 2 inches of snow and ice and hail. So she sent me pictures,
it's
which
global warming.
it didn't look like much to me, but to them, that's, she
yeah.
said she was out, she doesn't have a snow shovel. She was out there with a dust broom and a dustpan trying to scrape it off. I said, oh, that had to
a leaf blower
look.
does a good job too. If you have one of those electric leaf blowers, Beautiful
Oh,
shot.
this was a little bit too icy, like it was almost scrapable.
That
If it was
stinks.
on the sidewalk. If it was on the grass, yeah, you could probably blow it around. But, they're paralyzed. They had everything closed down on Thursday, and I believe it's going to be closed down today. And I was looking at that, and coming from the Midwest, where we had 15 inches on the daily, and everybody slogged to school. And she's been down there probably 10 years, and she's forgotten her Midwestern roots because she was like I don't know how I'm going to get to the store. And I thought, oh my gosh, this picture is nothing. But they really don't have any infrastructure. They don't
No.
have basements, so all their pipes run right underneath their house. So they have to run the water, and they have to open their doors and, their kitchen doors so their pipes don't freeze. And they don't have salt trucks, and they don't have plows, so it's kind of a big deal.
The DC area is that way. They're not really set up.
I know, I was surprised when I lived there. Yeah.
When it snowed, I would leave for work very early to avoid the drivers who didn't have a clue.
The
A,
spinouts, yeah.
And B, it would be easier for me to turn around if they canceled work. So I'd be on the road before they made the decision.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I remember moving to DC, and one of my first snowstorms was 15 inches. And of course, I thought, this is great, but the whole place was paralyzed. The
Yeah.
federal government shut down. I think it was shut down for a couple days, and I thought 15 inches is, serious snow, but it's not insurmountable snow. Certainly not in places that are used to dealing with it. So
I was wondering if the snow is bad enough that my brother who lives in Prince William County sent me pictures of the cars covered with snow. I was wondering if they were going to have trouble getting enough people to
plow.
certify the election on the 6th.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. You're right. Yeah, weather's certainly with those wildfires out in California is a wild card. I mean, you see those pictures, that's nuts. I mean, do you have a to-go bag packed, Cliff? I've been asking everybody. John, do you have a to-go bag? Although you have a compound here, so you should be fine.
Where am I going?
Well, I don't know. That's sort of the question. All these people tried to flee, and they're
Oh,
stuck on the roads.
California,
Yeah,
you
in
mean?
California, for instance. I think with a snowstorm, you're not going to go anywhere.
The answer is Fort Greely. You have 2 hours when the power plant shuts down at Eielson Air Force Base, and then everybody goes to Fort Greely.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned that because I was reading apocalypse book.
Yeah.
And the author said that the Mormons, as part of their faith, stockpile food in their temples. And there's a Mormon church right by my house, that Mitt Romney built in Belmont, across Route 2, and otherwise known as the Concord Turnpike. And I thought, okay, I'm making a beeline to the the Mormon Tabernacle. I don't know if they let you in, but that kind of got me thinking about, where, if there was like a grid failure or
A
I
bug
don't know.
out bag, yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
a bug out bag. Oh, is that
when
what
we
they call
lived
a bug out bag?
When we lived in Alaska, and my wife was substitute teaching in 3 different school systems, she had a duffel bag with a complete set of clothes,
Oh, that's smart.
including an additional pair of fat boy pants and a parka.
Well, in the back of my car, I do carry, I carry the little triangle.
Yeah.
I have a flashlight. I have a tarp. But that is all because I know how to change my tires. And so, I have
When was
kitty.
the last time you had a flat?
You know what, John? I pray every day I don't get one. I mean, it's traumatizing. I used to get them all the time. Now, with the newer cars, I have to say, they're more reliable.
Tires are much better. I remember going to the beach when I was a kid with my girlfriend. There'd be at least 5 cars on the side of the road changing tires.
I have trauma associated with, I have changed so many tires in my lifetime. And so I carry my little tire changing kit back there, the gloves. I have the soap that you can
Yeah.
get that grease off your hands. I have the flashlight. I have extra stem tube
Yeah.
caps.
I got 2 comments from the audience. We've been lucky this year so far. The snow stayed south
True.
of us.
True.
Great having Melanie on the show. Love her Midwest accent. Imagine people of Massachusetts having an opinion of how to pronounce words.
You know, I was just listening to radio. Thank you, caller, writer. But I was just listening to radio, and they had a guy who was from Georgia who had moved to California 20 years ago, and he still had his Southern accent. And I've lived in the East Coast for 40 years, 30 years, and I still have my, like you
Yeah,
don't,
sure.
you don't lose it, And I remember when Madonna lived
Yeah.
in, the singer lived in England, and she came home with an English accent. Like, I don't think that was really the way it works,
Yeah.
right?
Sometimes
Because it
they
hasn't worked
fake
for
it
me.
out.
I haven't picked up a New England accent, as
So,
we know with my pronunciation.
Tire changing.
Tire
My
change.
wife has changed a tire on a Jeep at 32 below.
Whoa. That's impressive. With a spare? She had a spare in the.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's the other thing I have them do, is every 6 months I have them check the spare in my
Yeah.
trunk to make sure it has enough air, because you don't want to change a tire and you put on another bad tire.
so John said that with regard to President Trump, President-elect Trump today,
Oh, he's acting like the president, so I think
Yeah.
we can say President Trump.
being sentenced today, he says that the news is not covering it. I thought the news was covering it.
Oh, I think it's been sort of bumped because of the fires, but I think I think the newspapers, I just read that the Washington Post laid off another 100 people in their business department. That was a result of all those cancellations that took place when Jeff Bezos, the owner, who's also the
Yeah.
owner of Amazon, didn't run the editorial in support of Kamala Harris at the paper, had decided, and so all these people quit. Now, I don't know how many people quit, but apparently like 100,000 people quit their subscriptions, which amounted to a fair amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
So they had already gone through newsroom budget cuts, but now they're cutting the business side because they've lost business. So I thought that was sort of an interesting thing, but I think the newspapers are ramping up. I mean, it's a climate catastrophe over there. So it deserves front page, but I feel like they're really bringing it, in a way that they haven't for other climate disasters, like North Carolina, for instance, because I think they're hurting. And, that kind of news always drives eyeballs. So it's a mixed blessing, I guess, or a double-edged sword, is that I'm glad they're giving the California fires a lot of publicity. But my feeling is that they're doing it. It's always above the fold in 4-point type or larger, because I think they're trying to drum up business.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think they are covering that. I just heard it on the radio when I came in about the sentencing, which doesn't sound like it's going to be anything. It's just going to close out the case. I mean, there's
Well,
no.
my perspective on that is, the judge is going to say, you're guilty,
Yeah.
stand, cuff him for sentencing.
Oh, they would cuff prior to sentencing?
Well, the judge can do whatever, it's
Oh,
his or
that's
her
true.
courtroom,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if that little antic will be played out.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I would like to think that stature still has power, and that would be unnecessary. Like, what's he going to do? Jump the guard or the bailiff? Run out of the courtroom? But, I think a lot of the politics is performative. So
Well, do you
maybe.
think this is a political?
Yeah, maybe it'll be politicized. I don't know. You're right about judges having a lot of
John?
leeway.
What?
No cuffs.
Oh, he's a betting man. He says there's not.
Oh.
You're betting there's going to be no cuffs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to bet you, but I just think it wouldn't be too far from, would you get him in cuffs?
Yeah.
We want that picture for the reelection. There's no reelection. This is his last time at the rodeo.
True. Well, I think one of the things that is appealing about Trump to a lot of voters is that, like, he takes a sledgehammer to stuff. And when I was reading the book about the poor on the other
Yeah.
side, or the other side of town, it's like DCF. That's a system that needs to be reformed. But it's so entrenched.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? And it almost feels like you have to break it and start all over. But I don't know. He seems to bring, whether he can pull it off or not, like deport millions of people? I don't know. You know, you can't deport Venezuelans because we don't have a treaty with that country. So where are you going to send them? And I think they're the majority. The Venezuelans and Haitians are the majority at the ICC. So where are you going to send those people? You can't deport them. You can't send them home. Cuba and Venezuela, and I'm sure there are other countries, we don't have treaties with them, so we can't deport them, which is one of the reasons all those people are coming here, because they know there's no place to go.
Well, Melanie, was there ever an investigation done? The people who are living at the UMass Inn Conference Center, how did they get here?
Well, I think Venezuela, it's called TPP. Help me out, Cliff. It's an immigration presidential authority. The president authorized countries like, remember when Haiti had the earthquake 20 years ago? They can circumvent traditional immigration law.
So the President Biden ordered these people
Yeah,
onto planes and flew them up here.
Well, there might be existing, like in the case of Haiti, it was an existing TPP, and he just extended it. And Congress doesn't have any role in that.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, so they can do it for a lot of reasons. And
And
it's,
that never made it out. Did you publish that?
yeah, I
It
did
never made TV news. I never heard on TV that
I don't
that
know
we're
why
taking-
they don't. I think explaining stuff isn't boring. And I
My-
did
but quite frankly, the issue is federal taxes hired airlines to fly these people up here.
Yeah, and they're
Federal
gonna-
government told immigration and the people at the border at Logan Airport, I have to go through customs, you do, to look the other way, let them pass through.
that I don't know about it, but I do know that besides immigrating through the Darien Gap,
Yeah.
which connects South America to Central America. I mean, I do think a lot of these people will take a arduous journey. I think there's that piece of it. I also think there's people who claim asylum at the U.S. embassies who then can be ferried
Yeah.
out of the country. And I think a lot of that, I'm spitballing here, but I'm guessing, because I didn't look into this, but I'm guessing in Haiti when the violence broke out, I think people who knew better made a beeline to the U.S. Embassy for sanctuary.
Reading this text, home run Melanie, will FEMA give the people in California $750 like they did in North Carolina?
Well, I think that was a bad messaging from the administration. That was PIN money, but they gave them more money. But they rolled it out poorly. I don't think they've given any money to California yet. So I don't think they've even given the 750 PIN money, which is sort of like your starter funds. You know how like they pass out gift cards? It's $20, but that like when. What was the name of the LHA building that flooded up on Race Street? City Tower. When City Tower flooded because that pipeline, the city's pipe broke, and 1 million gallons rolled downhill. I'm laughing because it's not because it was tragic, but it's like so crazy. The pipe broke right at the top of a hill. So a slight incline, not a hill. So all that water rolled down right into the City Tower's basement. Helpfully accessed by its driveway.
This down in Boston?
No, right here in Lowell, about two or 3 years ago now,
Yeah.
right? In November, right after.
I just don't know where City Towers is, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's over by, what's that building? The court, not the
Well,
courthouse.
Cliff, where is City Towers, Cliff?
It's right.
No,
Little
I'm gonna
Canada.
ask
By
Cliff.
Songus Arena?
Where is it?
Isn't that the one by Songus Arena?
No, it's if Songus Arena is here, it's to the left of Songus Arena. It's by the fire station. It's down the block from the main fire station. I'm trying to think of another landmark over there. Oh, Wenatchee Mills. It's right across the street from Wenatchee Mills.
Oh, okay.
Wannalanchit Mills, that's a good one.
Am I not saying that
There's a
one
big
right?
dragon outside.
We call it Wannalancet, but you can call it Wannalanchit if you
Wait, that's definitely my Midwestern accent coming through. We flatten all our vowels. But they, in the beginning, they gave those residents gift cards just to, because they were
Yeah.
displaced. And they were being housed at the senior center temporarily until they ended up moving to hotels and motels and ICC, ironically. But in the meantime, they just gave them $20 gift cards. Well, of course, we didn't say, oh, the city is terrible ogres. All they gave them were 25. I don't even think it came from the city. I think it came from like the Salvation Army. So I felt like that reporting was disingenuous. It didn't have context, and so it's technically true, but it's procedurally incorrect. So yes, they got 750, but it was only to start, and then they got more assistance. But I don't know
Yeah,
what that's
but
going to roll out.
You tagged it early on. They did a poor job of rolling the information out.
They don't, and I have felt that about this administration from the beginning, that they don't, I feel that about a lot of entities, honestly,
Yeah.
who should know better, is that you need to be first, and you need, because that's the message people
Yeah.
remember. They won't remember that those people may have also gotten $25,000 because the 750 is cemented in the conversation. So, and I think in the middle of an emergency, sometimes it's hard to have all your ducks lined up and know that you need comms, you need PR, you need, this, and that.
Yeah.
Melanie, is this the building they call River Place, right behind Lowell High School?
Oh, yeah, that apartment building, right?
That's
Yeah,
what
on the river. Yep.
That's where you're talking about all the water went down?
No, it's further down. It's on, gosh, I'm
towards
drawing,
Belvedere?
Cabot and Merrimack Street.
Okay. I know exactly what you're talking
It's like a L-shaped building.
Yep.
But their driveway was right in the path of 1 million gallons of water, and that driveway went into their basement. 8 feet of water
Yeah.
in that basement. It was really pretty catastrophic. But the real story, so two things. With
about.
with
Now,
regard to
I'm
the
getting a comment
migrants,
From, it's Ashambo Towers.
which is what?
Ashambo Towers, which is on Merrimack Street. By the old, where Gene Dock was founded, where Gene Dock Credit Union was founded, that by Cabot Street.
Yeah, it's a little bit further down the
Wait,
street from.
that's new.
Yeah, that's a little bit further down. It's right on the corner
Yeah,
of.
Ashambo Towers is older than you, Cliff.
Oh, maybe that's what it was called. I don't know. It's now called City Towers. So,
Ashambo Towers is probably 50 years old.
yeah, I'm
I
guessing
thought
this
the
was.
place that had been, Jeanne d'Arc had been torn down and rebuilt, or at least reconfigured in a big way.
No, they had a nice granite structure that's been,
I don't know what they're going to do with that building.
Taken
the one,
away.
Yeah, they have the building right next to the U.S. Postal Service on Father Morissette Drive, but they've
Yep.
moved now to Merrimack Street in the Acre Crossing complex. They have,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
yes, they have a brand-new, beautiful building.
hey,
which
what
is
are
part
you
of-
hearing on the Enterprise takeover, anything?
Well,
Rockland
I,
Trust?
I think after the initial news, they're going to lay low because I think there are going to be changes. I don't know what's going to happen with it'd be pure speculation. So I don't know what they're going to do with the enterprise headquarters on Merrimack Street, and I don't know what they're going to do with the business department. I have to agree with the bank's initial statement, Rockland's initial statement, that they're going to keep the tellers and the customer-facing staffing. But it remains to be seen with the mortgage and
Yeah.
the business side, whether they need that duplication with their outfit. I don't know. I don't think we're going to hear anything more until the deal is, I think it's in June, that the deal will be like official, and so I think we'll hear more then. But no, that's a big, lot of changes going on in the city.
Let's go back to immigration. I think our Governor, Maura Healey, is conflicted as to whether she wants us to be a sanctuary state or not. She was pretty upset about the guy with the AR-15 and, $1 million worth of fentanyl.
Well, yeah, and you know what? Somebody had emailed me. I do get a lot of reader feedback, which I appreciate, and, mgilbert@lowellsun.com, and whether you love it or you hate it, I usually respond to not usually, I respond to everybody. And if people send me hate mail, I just say, thank you for your email. I don't engage. But if they engage me and tell me things or share their thoughts, I engage back, and because I think those are important voices to hear. And critical difference with that hotel that's different from the ICC. The ICC is a dedicated hotel to migrant and homeless families. I mean, the migrants are homeless, but migrant and local homeless families.
There's no homeless down there, there's only migrants.
No, there are some homeless, Massachusetts homeless families. Or
So do you think that is the state's homeless, one of the state's homeless places, or?
Well, they're placing it's not a shelter like the LTLC, which is only for
No,
adults.
the LTLC is standalone, separate corporation. It's not the state's.
Well, right, it's a private nonprofit.
Where are the state shelters in this region?
Well, I can tell you the ICC is only for those families, those migrant or homeless families. The place that they talked about in the news, that's a mixed use. That's that's like a hotel on this side and it's migrants on the other side, like what they do with the homeless. So that's less oversight. ICC, you can't get in that building with an ID. You have to go past a guard desk that's staffed by 2 guards, and they have internal security.
Why?
So, I'm sorry?
Why?
Because I think it's mostly to protect the families, so that you don't have these
Protect
outsiders
them
coming in.
Protect the families from whom?
Well, apparently people who have
Yeah.
AK-15s and drugs.
GDA.
Yeah, we have that in housing in the North Common. We have that at CTI. We just had that that story that Aaron Curtis wrote.
We don't have security outside Target. Why don't we?
Oh, so Target has security. They've got cameras
But
everywhere.
they're not at the door checking everybody
Yeah,
in.
oh, sure they are. When I go to the Revere one,
Oh, no, I go to Lowell.
If you go to Bank of America,
there's
it's the same guard every time.
Bank of America for years. I
The
didn't know they
bank,
still
if you
did
go into
that.
Enterprise Bank, there's a guard there. When I go into Home Depot, or go into Lowe's, there's no guard there.
It might be, what do you call it,
It's just
geographically?
another way, Melanie, so we can hire our friends.
Well, I think the ICC, when I got a tour there, I wasn't able to speak to the residents.
I'm gonna go.
Oh,
for-
yeah, that's right. It has a new name. Okay, thank you. Your viewers are on it. I should just come on here with all my stories and ask my questions so that
Moving
I
right
can just
along.
cut to the chase.
Did Oprah purchase Lahaina yet with all the donations she received?
I don't, what's Lahan?
I think it's California. I
Hawaii.
think it's, Hawaii.
Oh,
The media was so liberal. Wouldn't Trump's sentencing be all over the news? You'd think Trump toadies would be happy it's not being mentioned. Hasn't Trump been given the option to have the sentence done via remote? There'll be no handcuffing, but we can always hope.
oh, you've got some ringers in your audience, John. That's good. You should have both. As to the first one, I think that's a split decision, right? Because I think the liberal media is owned by oligarchs, like Jeff Bezos, who's just signed a $40 million deal to do an Amazon Prime sort of movie of the first family, Melania Trump, Barron Trump, and Donald
Oh,
Trump.
yeah?
So, I think there's a lot of handshaking going on here, so it wouldn't be in their interest. to
Where was
put it-
Michelle Obama at the funeral?
I don't know. I didn't even notice that she wasn't
She
there.
was on duty in Hawaii somewhere.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
She was on duty.
So they split and
What?
She had some mission to accomplish.
like a public.
I don't know what it was.
She
Well,
had
that-
opened up another stick of gum. I got you.
Well, that was, I don't know why, but I think, as you know, in the funeral business, John, you should always show up. It's the last.
If there's no excuse for
There's,
skipping
it's
a
the
president's
last thing you
funeral.
can. Right. It's the last.
I'm
thing you
sorry,
can do.
Michelle. You should have been there.
That was another thing to circle this round to the top of the hour when we started. Is that's a parent rule.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, even if I thought who had died was an abominable person, because you're a kid, you just think
Yeah.
they're crotchety or whatever. We all went to the funeral, and that was a mandate. You are getting dressed up, just like we went to church every Sunday. You are going to this funeral. You're going to enjoy it. So I think her not showing up
Yeah.
is I don't know. There's a lot of going around that you shouldn't have to explain yourself. There's sort of that mindset, well, I shouldn't have to
Yeah.
explain myself. And I think sometimes that was what was behind the $750 for the North Carolina residents. We shouldn't have to explain ourselves. It's very snotty, in my opinion. You should explain yourself. So in one of my articles, I explained the migrant, I did a whole Q&A on the migrant situation. Who are they? Where are they coming from? How'd they get here? Who's paying for it? Blah, blah, blah. And so
Hey,
maybe I should redo it.
Before we do the announcements, Eileen, you're on your way to work. Are you going to stick with us? What are you doing, Eileen?
Is Eileen still there?
I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm still here.
We're not letting you
no, I
get a
can
word in edgewise, lady.
I can stick with you guys. I'm just dropping Anthony off at his school and then I'm heading back, so I can stick with you guys. But I did have a question for Melanie in regards to, like, even the Lowell Sun talked about, like, the migrants living at the UCC. But isn't that funding coming because we are a sanctuary state? And that we're able to fund them? But then Maura Healy was saying we're not a sanctuary state.
I don't think we're a sanctuary state. We're a right to shelter state. So it might be a difference without a distinction depending on your perspective, but
No,
I
I think
that,
it's a difference.
yeah, so we're a right to shelter. I think we're the only state in the union who's a right to shelter. So we take everybody no matter where they came from. If they come to us, it's kind of like the New Testament,
Yeah.
I will clothe you and I will feed you. And
I'm going to do the announcements.
all right, John, do the announcements, would you please?
Your mic still works, so they can hear whatever you're saying. If you want an announcement on City Life, easy thing to do, just call my cell phone and we'll make it happen. Very important thing to people who live in South Lowell and Tewksbury to write down January 14th. January 14th, we are going to shut off your electricity at 9 o'clock. So if you're watching I Love Lucy and it's coming on at 9 o'clock, you're not going to watch it that night because from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. in Tewksbury and South Lowell, they're going to shut off your electricity at 9 p.m. So plug in your electric blanket early and hope you don't have to get up before 5 because it's going to be dark in your house. So charge up your phone and just be prepared. You might need a flashlight for your midnight visit to the bathroom. So January 14th, that's all of, they're telling me all of this, when you read it, my takeaway from this is it's all of Tewksbury and part of South Lowell. Moving right along, the Bridge Club. The Bridge Club saves lives. They do it every day. God bless them. Good bunch of people down there led by Governor Bob Cox. They're going to have a fundraiser Sunday, January 19th, 1 o'clock at the Songus Center. If you want tickets, there's a phone number there you can call, or you can go on the website for the Songus Center. It's $20 per adult, $16 for a kid. A good time to be had by you all. They're going to have the retired Boston Bruins are going to be playing the Lowell Police Department. So it should be a fun event. Coming up on January 25th also is the Keefe Family Polar Plunge. I think it's down at Salisbury Beach. And for more information about that, that's their website, keefefamilypolarplunge.org. And if you're interested, that's that. If you're a little down on your luck and you need some free food, these are all the this is a little dated, but it's the phone number for all the organizations in lovely Lowell that have free food if you qualify. So just give them a call, talk to them, and maybe they'll be able to help you out. Free bus ride. When you see an LRTA bus, it's a free ride. So if you're walking down the street and you want a free ride, just wave at the bus driver. He or she will pull over and pick you up, and you can ride in a nice, clean, toasty bus. On a day like today, it comes in handy. So that's right through September 30th. The Lowell Senior Center is the only senior center I know of that has lunch 7 days a week. Now, today's Friday. They're going to have baked cod. Today's the 10th. So baked cod they're going to have. But tomorrow they have hot dog and beans, and then Sunday they're going to have pepper chicken with rice. So 7 days a week, and the whole thing is you get up there around 10:30, walk in the front door. There's usually a gal there, her name is Tara. Give her your $2, and she'll give you a ticket. If you don't have the $2, she'll give you a ticket anyway. If you're down on your luck, it's okay. We'll give you the lunch for free 7 days a week at the Lowell Senior Center. The mill number 5. Mill number 5 has got to move out of mill number 5. And they're moving over to the St. Jean, what once was the fantastic St. Jean the Baptist Church on Merrimack Street in Lowell. They're having a little money troubles, so they have a GoFundMe here. So if you go onto Facebook and you go to Lowell Live Feed and you scroll down, you'll find this, and you can click on their GoFundMe page. And they good group of people, and they need a little bit of help right now, so consider that. And the The Golden Gloves, the last night was the first night for the Golden Gloves. Keith Rudy sent me this. He's going to come and visit us next week. Golden Gloves is every Thursday night through March 6th. The doors open at 6 o'clock down at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. It's always a fun time, and it's like old home week. You're going to run into kids. You're going to run into friends that you've met in kindergarten. It's just a really amazing event, people that you meet. That's my last announcement. Going back to you guys. Thanks for your patience.
You mentioned hot dogs.
Yeah.
In North Korea, the government has just come out and said that eating hot dogs, especially in buns, is unpatriotic.
Well, Cliff, let me ask you this question.
Ask me.
When you have a hot dog, what do you put on it?
Hot dog mustard.
Okay. Melanie, when you have a hot dog,
Relish. I love relish.
I use Howard's Piccalilli.
Oh. Well, I would say there must not be any Costco's in North Korea because that's a big part of their business. Or those, whenever I go there, I get a hot dog on my way out.
Delicious.
Yeah, no, they're awesome and they're generous. I think you pay $1.99 for a hot dog and a bun and a drink. It's the
I
best
think
deal in
the
town.
North
Ask Eileen
Koreans
what does
see
she
the-
put on her. I forgot about Eileen. Ask her what she puts on her hot dog.
Eileen?
Ketchup. Just ketchup.
Okay.
That's good too. That works. I put ketchup sometimes if I'm feeling frisky, mustard, but I'm not a big mustard girl. But the relish, that's a deal breaker.
I've seen people put cheese on it. Like, I'm not like, that to me just doesn't go.
Yeah, there are people who put cheese on their French fries and mayonnaise and all kinds of stuff. But yeah,
So-
hot dogs, I'll eat it anyway. If I don't have condiments, I'll still eat it.
Hot dogs are seen as decadent Western activities in North Korea. They're very careful about that
They
kind of
probably
thing.
just don't have the meat because there are probably sanctions on shipping meat to that country, and they probably don't have a thriving cow,
Yeah.
cow infrastructure. So they make it into, patriotism when it's really about not having it.
So, but going back to the administration, I think the person with the worst job in the administration is Kareem Jean-Pierre.
Oh, I agree.
That
Yeah.
and she shows up every day and she looks nice. She tries to be polite and but it's a terrible job.
And she, you
convey
know what?
that.
Honestly, I don't know her, and I
Yeah.
think it's a tough place to be in. But I don't think she's very good at it. I think she's too defensive,
Yeah.
and I think she gets a little snippy with people. And I think sometimes those people are trying to provoke her.
Her
Who
chief
are we talking about?
KJP.
The
Elemental
president.
P, Q, R, S, T, U, V. Who are we talking about, Cliff?
She's the president.
The press secretary for the President of the United
I
States.
understand much better now. Thank you.
Curly haired.
But I think it used to be a job that was, highly coveted.
Yes.
And extremely high profile. And I see some of these appointments as a reflection of the administration's not thinking it really matters. I don't think that Kay Lee, what's her name, who was Donald Trump's, then President Donald Trump's press secretary, was very good either. And a lightweight,
Yeah.
didn't have the facts, but I think it reflects the administrations, whether they're Republican or Democrat. They don't really care what the press thinks because they think it's just going to write whatever they want
Oh,
anyway.
you likely know because it's your job. Back when I used to cover funeral politics, I would go to Washington once in a while, and I hung out with the guys who worked at C-SPAN, and they told me White House credentials. At the White House press conference, if they don't like your question, you're talked to once, and the next time you ask a question that is not likable, you lose your credentials.
Well, I don't
Is
know
that
that
true
they
even
do
for
that
today?
because that Peter
that-
Ducey, he asks all sorts of ridiculous questions.
Oh, I think Peter Ducey's perfect.
But speaking to
Is
the,
that still true, Melanie?
I don't think so because Peter Ducey still has his.
I think that if they pulled his credentials, it'd be a big mistake because Fox News would be on that
Oh, is he with
forever.
Fox?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought for some
I'm gonna
reason.
go through, I got two more texts I got yet to put up. How about a hot dog between two donuts?
Now you're talking.
I haven't tried that yet.
Well, maybe North Korea would allow that. Maybe the bun is what's throwing them. You just gotta
Michelle
put it-
Obama not being present at President Carter's funeral is far less, whatever that word is, than Donald Trump didn't show up.
Egregious.
Thank you. You want to read the rest of it? Donald Trump didn't show up for President Biden's inauguration.
Well, we can't speak to her motive because she hasn't addressed it as far as I know, so we can't do that, but I think they're both wrong. You know, I
Hasn't
think,
Trump been given the option to have the this is an old one.
oh yeah, we had that one.
That's old. Mr. Obama has zero class and once again proved that American people, that she's above us. Interesting comments, thank you. I got more to come up, but back to you guys.
Well, president funeral is, you know, not
There's no
only.
excuse for not
Yeah,
going.
it's historic and it's once in a lifetime. Well, no pun
I mean,
intended.
anybody
It
could
just-
call you, well, we have lunch, I have to go to the president's funeral. Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
The president's funeral is a big thing.
Yeah, and particularly President Carter, because not only was he 100 years old? Did he live to be 100?
He made it.
Yeah, and he spanned like, I don't know how many presidencies, and he did a lot of post-presidential work that involved
Yes.
cashing in. So I think he was sort of a standalone figure. So, you know, he's sort of, and he's Democrat. So it's confusing. I'd be interested to hear where she was that trumped a presidential funeral.
Yeah, even Trump showed up for the funeral, so.
Yeah, why didn't Trump come to Biden's inaugural?
He was ticked.
Oh, because they stole the election. Yeah, okay, well, I think here's parent rule number 1,000. Even when you lose, you show up. You shake the hand, you congratulate the winner, you just,
Yeah.
there's
I
some,
think you make an important point. I mean, there are rules that I have based upon little comments my father has made to me and examples he's set for me. And that was parenting school. For me, I was the student and I became the teacher based on that. My father's way of showing respect to people. I lived in a sundown town. John, do I have
Oh,
to
yeah, where
explain
was that?
sundown town to you?
All black people had to be out of town.
By sundown,
right, where was that?
South Jersey.
South Jersey?
Just south of Camden.
I'm shocked. Wow.
So I lived in a sundown town. My father made a point of taking me out to the the dump, and introducing me to the black man who ran the dump. Well, how was that important? It wasn't important at all, except for him showing me that he was showing respect for this man.
No matter his station or his color.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I got two texts over here, Cliff, and the lying press secretary on both sides.
Right, they don't tell you anything.
Well, the Texas sidestep. The late great Bill Topia
That's a good
introduced
one.
me to the Texas sidestep, and we used to play that video, but YouTube's taking it down. You can't get it anymore.
Oh,
So they don't like
copyright
that
protected?
Texas- But it's so true. Great chili dogs at the Chowder Factory. I don't know where the Chowder Factory is, but
the food cart outside?
okay,
Oh, I have to check that out.
yeah. Thank you.
Well, so there's a story there someplace, and maybe they'll bring it up in the press conference, and JP,
KJP,
yeah,
Kareem Jean-Pierre.
she'll do the Texas sidestep and won't answer it. I feel like, and again, getting back to Trump, I feel like one of the reasons he resonated with people is because even if you don't like what the man says, he doesn't do the Texas two-step.
No.
The guy, it's appalling, some of what he says, but he gets up there and he
What they
says,
have, an hour press conference yesterday?
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting approach, and I
Yeah.
think in contrast, there's a lot of namby-pamby. When you get with government officials or
Yeah.
political officials, they walk that tightrope, and I think people are hungry for authentic, like what we have here. They want authentic conversation. I mean, I hope that I don't dodge your questions, and, when I don't know, I say I don't know, or I say, well, that's a good, that's a good point, I'll have to look into it, or, like reading the book to
Yeah.
figure out your perspective, and I don't think people take the time to do
No.
that.
Now, speaking of
They
taking
do
the
have the
time.
video back up. I can't play the audio because Facebook goes bananas, but this is an episode of The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas is the name of the movie. And this guy here is, I think he's the mayor or the governor. I think he's the governor of
Governor.
Texas. And he goes on and on and on and says absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And the press corps says, what'd he say? I don't know what he said. So he just he sings a nice song. So if you're on YouTube later on, look up The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. And
I've never seen that. I'll have to check that out.
that is a funny, funny thing to watch. And it's so true through today.
With his gold cummerband.
Yeah, they're
on
asking,
his
what did he say? I don't know.
headband.
I don't know what he said. It was a good movie. Back to you guys. Thanks.
We're starting to see in places people ask, where's the press been in the last 2 years as President Biden has shown signs of decline?
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, no, I agree. Right, and I think both of them are compromised, honestly. I don't think either one of them. I think Trump does have, what Trump has going for him is he has enormous energy. He radiates energy, even though I do think he's a step or two behind mentally. But that physical aura carries him in a way that Joe Biden does not radiate physical
Yeah.
energy. you know what I'm talking about. There are people who just they walk into a room
Yeah.
and they possess the room, and it's not just because of their title. It's because of their aura, whatever.
Melanie,
And
what party are you? When you vote, what
I
party?
am registered independent.
Okay.
So there you have it. But I, as you know, I think that my heart is with the underdog. And I think the Democratic Party traditionally, or Independent Party, whoever, Bernie Sanders, for instance, traditionally does a good job to speaking to those issues. Sometimes they don't do a good job addressing
We're in
them.
Massachusetts. The Republicans are the underdog.
From the audience, it's refreshing to see Trump answering the questions instead of the vegetable we've been looking at for the last 4 years. I like the word salad.
Yeah.
I love that term, word salad.
Yeah, we could read that both ways then, can't we?
But, which is going to cause me to jump ahead of where I wanted to be, but the state legislature is like a private club, and mere citizens just don't get a chance to see what's going on.
There's no question that there needs to be a grassroots initiative by the Republican committee, the state Republican committee, to recruit candidates. And I am here to tell you, it's not Mark Lombardo. I think they need to attract people who have credibility, who have a fundraising apparatus or are gifted which they can do, and who have a messaging that is articulated coherently and consistently. And I haven't seen that. I don't feel like the state Republican Party has been behind their candidates
No,
in a forceful, throw-down way.
I ran twice. I got absolute minimal support from the state committee.
Right, so that's a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
is a problem.
So I think the voters are going to vote for what's in front of them, or perhaps they're not going to vote, but that doesn't move the conversation for the Republican Party forward. But yeah, I think having a two-party system is always important. I think we need a little bit more competition. We don't have that in Massachusetts. So in that way, perhaps the Democratic agenda goes forward unchecked. And I thought it was interesting that Kelly, I'm going to say her name wrong.
Yeah.
Said that Massachusetts is a cautionary tale. Like, that's good messaging. She's a good messenger. Like, she
Yeah.
knows how to grab at the headline in a phrase that makes people stop. It's brilliant. And So you're asking the question she doesn't have to ask. Why is it a cautionary tale? What kind of cautionary tale? What's different about New Hampshire and Massachusetts? In one sentence, she has already made her argument without making the argument. And that's crafty. Whether you agree with her or not, she is a brilliant communicator. And I personally would love to see more of that sort of talent on the game board.
Yeah, I think we should all be running against the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, yeah.
He appears arrogant and unwilling to be part of the democratic process.
With DiZoglio, are you specifically referring to that, where he said, well, depends on it's like Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Depends on what your definition of is, when he was being
Yes.
interviewed about the Monica Lewinsky. And
No, but I think that specifically with Diane DiZoglio,
Right.
but generally he is that way too.
oh, for sure, but we
Yeah.
see it in these pinpoint
Yeah.
areas where he just basically gave her the finger. And he gave the finger to all the voters who signed her petition and said, this is what they want. And he said, well, depends on if that's what we really need, or however he put it. But it was very backhandish. And I agree with you on that. But you can do that when you own the board, when all the pieces on the board are yours to move.
Yeah.
And I don't think it serves the Commonwealth.
Why
I
does the
don't.
media let up?
I'm sorry?
Why does the media let up on the guy?
Well, fortunately, I'm going to use an excuse here. I don't cover the State House. I don't cover the state politics,
I
but
got you, but why doesn't Channel 5?
I agree. I think they need to press him.
And somebody has to tell Channel 5, look, get some
Well, I do think the
cojones, I guess is the word.
Well,
supposed to use.
I think the press does get worried about being frozen out. That if you write a tough story, you're not going to get official comment. You're not going to get cooperation from state or city or local leaders.
We only got 3 minutes left, so these are the last two texts of the day. Great show today. I look forward to the next visit from
Oh,
Melanie.
thank you. I love being here.
And Melanie has, she's going to be here every other week.
These guys bring out the best in me. I can't take any credit.
So in 2 weeks, she'll be back. Trump has already done more press conferences than Biden did in 4 years. Have you seen any of his press conferences on YouTube? They're only on YouTube.
Well, I have to say that Trump loves the spotlight. The guy loves.
But he doesn't give word salad.
Well, and what I do like lately about his messaging is it's not so. I mean, I don't know why he always has to be so belligerent. Like, if you want to buy Greenland or whatever, go ahead and say you want to buy Greenland, but to
We're not going
throw
to buy
it
it. We're just
down.
going to take it. It's ours.
Right. Well,
How many states do you think we'll make in Canada? Cliff says 6. How many states in Canada?
That's actually not what I said.
Provinces?
But
Oh, no,
close.
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry, correct me.
I think they're like 6 or 8, right? Provinces? Isn't that what they call them?
I thought, yes, the provinces, and I thought it was up around 10 or 11.
It's a huge country. I mean,
So how many states do you think we'll get if we grab Canada?
well, I don't think it's going to happen because we're going to have to invade an ally, which is
Wait,
preposterous.
Why would we want another California?
Oh, well, that's another point. Right. And plus you'd inherit Quebec, which is a breakaway republic of its own, which is going to
You
be
must have saw this on Facebook.
nothing but trouble. Well, I always felt Justin Trudeau was sort of a poser. I thought he was a performative politician. And I think they need, I'm probably going to get shot by the French Canadians here, but I felt like they needed a serious adult in that
We've got
office.
2 minutes, Cliff. Does Eileen have any parting comments?
I don't know. Eileen?
No, my final thoughts were just on the media. I think, like, the bigger channels, the more I'm learning, are buy into the elected officials that making these shots so they can get away with more in the industry of their news stations. And then it becomes like, we'll keep our mouths shut. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back.
30 seconds.
That's my
That's a
That's
good
it.
way, I feel like that's a good way to frame it. I think there's a hesitancy to go against the grain because you'll get frozen out.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I have not had that experience. And partly I'm shielded because I don't need.
Say goodbye.
I don't need public officials to speak to me, I can go to the city meetings.
Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching.